So, welcome everyone to this week's PTC Talks, where we are honored today by having Dion Jensen from the ServiceMax team, who will be sharing his insights about how to improve your service profitability and reduce cost with ServiceMax. And this is actually sort of a follow-up session from last PTC Talks when Lionel from ServiceMax team did a presentation about the why. So my name is Torbjörn Peterson, and I'm the Alliance Manager for PTC in the Nordics, and we are running all these webinars on Fridays every week, same time, where we also invite customers and partners for some inspiration on digital transformation to see what is possible and how to make things happen. And you can also find all the past webinars on the registration site. And the agenda for today is first a very quick overview of PTC by my colleague Carl from the Customer Success team. And then Dion will start by introducing himself, touch base on a few challenges, how to address these, and then explain some of the business outcomes. And at the end, we're also having a Q&A session, so please keep your questions to the end, or you can also put them in the chat, and we will pick them up later on in the Q&A. So now over to you, Carl.
Thanks, Torbjörn. We can maybe move slide, please. Dion, thank you. PTC is an international software company with headquarters based in Boston. We are developing software mainly for manufacturing companies since 1985. We offer tools for the digital transformation, such as CAD for design, PLM for managing data, IoT to connect products and manufacturing operation, and augmented reality to visualize and interact with the digital thread. To you, Dion.
Thank you very much. And I'll start with just introducing myself. My name is Dion Jensen. I'm a solution engineer in the ServiceMax team. I think last time we had a conversation about what ServiceMax was, and I'm not going to get into the details of the story of my organization. I would rather refer to the previous session so you get the benefit of knowing the longer story. Just to give a little background of myself, I'm located in Sweden, covering or working mainly out of the Nordic/EMEA region. And I'm looking forward to the session today. So since I'm going to say recent onboarded into this organization, I would like to actually start with the message, with the statement, the mission that we work with, because the mission is the reason of why we are doing what we're doing. And the first and most important element is exactly we help you keep the world running. So there are elements in this that is important. We create software for service organization, that is you. And we want to make sure that any asset that you have, we would like to help you keep the world running. So as an example, just quickly going to go through one of our reference cases, and I would later suggest actually to visit the ServiceMax homepage and look at all the different win stories and solutions that we have. But one of them being Schneider. We are talking about some large organization in the power and utilities area. We talk about a customer who actually has quite an extensive footprint, more than 80 countries, a lot of different ERP offerings that they had in place, all of them communicating about assets and actions and work orders. So they had like a challenge that they needed to be, let's say, the preferred partner for all their customer needs. And second element, which is very relevant these days, is of course providing more value through IoT. So what we suggested for Schneider was exactly the offering that you see today, that you will see a little bit more about today, the ServiceMax core elements. But the idea again, getting enablement for the technicians that works in the field, give them mobile devices, and give them information at hand so they can see the product and the customer info. Once a service technician arrives on site, look up who the contact may be. If you cannot find the contact, is there a number to call? Is there information? Maybe the contact had birthday. I mean, it's something as simple as human-to-human interaction. They also had, of course, a desire, because of the complexity of their business, to be able to assign multiple technicians to one work order. Again, the idea is that one technician might start the job by preparing the actions. Maybe the specialists have certain skills that other technicians do not have, and so they can share the work order. It's very important, of course, to understand the installed base, and I will come back to the definition of the installed base. But again, the idea is that whatever is at a customer differs from what it originally were when built, meaning that once we receive the asset, we might change it, we might configure it for a different purpose. There might be children assigned to it, children as in regards to the data, the asset data. So again, a machine can have a generator, that can have a battery, that can have a fan. So there are multiple levels of children in it. So over time, the feedback that we got from Schneider is exactly response time improvements. They say up to 100%, which is of course a great number to get into. But I'm focusing very much also on the action of the mobile device being able to remove what used to be paper-based processes. Nobody benefits from this constant paper flow, I guess, except the companies providing paper. But from a management perspective, it's difficult and risk to include paper in your process. The idea for them was also the idea of actually being better enclose the opportunities that they have, not only the opportunities to sell good service contract and provide good service to companies, but also to be able to close in the first time fixed rate would be an importance. And having all these data available, I think it's important to understand that once you data enable your technicians in the field, give them communication tools and information back and forth, you can actually gain the collaboration value and being able to share across the team, not only between the dispatch and the field technician, but also the field technician's comments is of value to the sales and service managers in the organization. And not to forget, of course, the feedback from the field that can be added back to the product team, saying that we actually see, despite preventive maintenance, something happening in the field with the product that we have implemented. And all these things, they lead up to a better NPS score. So my focus area today is giving you a little bit overview of where we are in the digital thread. And this is an overview of us just recently joined PTC as our new parent company. And to see the discussion between the starting of the CAD processes, the PLM processes that actually build the assets and manage the assets, the physical devices that we have out in the field, bringing it into the area of the usage focus, where we see things like IoT being important. And of course, what we say that we would like to sustain the physical element that is in operation. So I'm going to bring you on a little journey that actually say that from our perspective, we have kind of a few processes and ways that we actually can get, let's say, engaged in the service process from our perspective. Number one, we start with the alert. I mean, we have IoT systems in this thing. In this scenario, we have ThingWorx assets in production, and we can see we have a peak. I don't know what the peak means, but ThingWorx would give you an alert based on the parameters that are given within that specific assets. And these parameters could give us an outbound REST call to the service system. We are based on the Salesforce ecosystem, and as such, we are native to REST services and other types of integration opportunities where you can talk to us, give us an alert, and our initial action in such an alert could be we raise a service request. Let's say that it normally was 3.3 voltage that we got out of the system, but suddenly we get 3.5, and we consistently over, let's say, 3 hours get 3.5 instead of the initial 3.3. We raise a service request and make sure that if an outbound, let's say, conversation with the customer can validate whether or not we should send a technician or reset the device, etc., etc. We can help by establishing rules. We can collect all these alerts, and we can make the automated actions prior to sending people. But first, let's look at the asset in itself that made us this alert. So The most important element for us is the install base management. All products that are built, when they're implemented at customer site, will become an installed asset. We need to know, of course, who owns the asset. What are the contact person? What are the location? Is it 2A or 2B? Is it across the street? Is it next to the road? Is it first floor, second floor? Do we need to take additional actions prior to arrival? What is the agreement around the asset? Things like service contract. What's the maintenance contract that we have in place? What is the warranty? What is the entitlement that the customer have? Meaning the customer is, during the 5-year lifetime of the product or the 5-year warranty, is entitled to 20 visits for preventive maintenance. And they're entitled to, let's say, 25% discount on spare parts. This is agreements that are being carried forward as long as we have an action on this installed asset. And we also like to follow, or we actually think it's important, of course, to follow the changes to the product, the original builds. We might, after 2 years, replace the generator. We replace the generator in second year with a new generator with a 5-year warranty, meaning that 3 years after the original product goes out of warranty, we still have 2 years warranty remaining on the new generator because that was installed with a 5-year warranty. These kind of complexities is always the debate between customers and service providers, and we make sure that we action these things. And of course, our objective is to make sure that the customer get a value out of it. The asset uptime. You have acquired a certain, let's say, expensive asset from a vendor. You would like to have that asset operational as close to 100% as possible because that's what you acquired it for. You want to have the preventive maintenance going on in a, let's say, predictive time. Because if you as a service organization are able to deliver that, your customer satisfaction, your net promoter score will definitely increase. And we also look at increase of contract renewals. After 5 years, the product may not be, let's say, invalid. Maybe you can still extend the lifetime with additional upgrades to the value. And actually, that is something we see in 21% of the cases that we have on the contract renewals on assets extending the lifetime. Not to forget exactly the fact that it's actually good for the, I'm going to say, for the environment. When we look into one of the elements of the installed base on the asset that we have in place is that we gather a lot of information. We like to gather the timeline of events that happened. An alert came in, a service request was issued, we sent a technician, we resolved the area, and 3 months later we came back and validated that the repair was in order, preventive maintenance kicks in, we had certainty that everything is in place for this installed asset. Again, to make sure that the back office can get all this information, the field has access to it, not only through the web browser on their device, but we actually have a mobile application in place where the field technician can do and read everything about the asset, past and present and future history about the asset. And again, this is just, again, to illustrate the idea that the customers are looking for uptime. If it's a crucial element in your, let's say, ventilation system, if it's your electric generator for your solar panels, etc., the asset uptime is crucial. And you as an organization who sold the service contract or are servicing this will actually gain and see an improved element of service revenue. So once we've talked about this asset in place and we have seen that an alert came in, we'd like to follow up with a call. And here we have Euphoria as an element. Again, we are trying to secure that as soon as possible that we have the opportunity to have a dialogue with the customer about the asset. We can see what's going on. Maybe the remote technician have an opportunity actually to clear that issue as a service request prior to sending a guy in a van, guy and a girl in a van. The idea is, again, we would like to have as soon as possible the asset operational, and we would like to avoid sending human bodies to the next location because that's costly. We want to make sure that the technician is efficient. We want to make sure that we can decrease the repair time. Again, the idea is the sooner you get back to business, the better. And of course, sending a person on site, let's say in some areas are not as safe as others. So things like safety inspections, safety incidents, we would like to lower that. That's, I'm going to call it risk. Hopefully they shouldn't happen in your organization. But if we can avoid sending a technician by doing a remote call, that would be excellent for us. We, inside our own offering in the ServiceMax portfolio, have of course multiple systems that can help that. And in this case, I'm just going to show you an example of a product that's embedded inside this ServiceMax offering. The product is called Sync, which is basically a communication channel between the service team and the dispatch team and the product responsible people. This is kind of, you're gonna be very popular in saying it's kind of a WhatsApp/Teams/whatever kind of communication channel. Yes, it's an extra messaging channel, but it serves the purpose of the asset and the field technician. Anytime that a field technician go on site to a customer and start up Sync and has a work order active, every chat, communication, picture, anything that happens on site will be stored on the work order. So if we are not able to address the issue, let's say that we have a leakage on the site, that the person that comes out might be high voltage specialist. He's not able to address the leakage of oil coming from XYZ in the product. He will take an image, he will record the session, he will record the surroundings, and he will say, we need to send a second, we will have to have a second roll-up to address this issue, but at least the person who comes after him have access to the previous work order, have information up front of the leakage. He or she knows what to bring. There are actions that you can follow along. And since it's built directly for product specialists in the field technicians, we have thought about things like messaging channels. If you are a high voltage specialist, we can send training your way. If you are a specialist in product XYZ, we can send new revision information to you, new software information, software BIOS download that is needed, etc., etc. So we use it as a channel between the field and the service organization and product organization as such. Once we work on site, we use, of course, the most important element is our mobile application called the ServiceMax Go. And again, ServiceMax Go is the kind of tool that you bring up on your service technician's main application. Number one, he or she gets an alert once a job has been assigned. He and she accepts the alert once the job is received. He and she use the embedded driving schedule because the schedule is aligned with the idea of what is the closest proximity of the service actual location. But not only that, it actually geo-stamp activity. So when the person go on site, say I'm arriving to location 2B, second floor, I hit the button start action, start job, meaning I take a geo-stamp if needed that I'm here. So that is for safety and for compliance reasons. But also the idea that the job start is actually the timestamp of, I'm going to say the meter starts running. I have arrived to the customer location. I am here. I'm starting doing my repair. And once I complete my repair, I of course stop the job, put the timestamp in the system and say, I have now completed the actions, and the hourly, let's say, or the hour consumption is actually recorded. But we also record things like spare parts, swap parts. We change the configuration of the assets. We take videos, we take photos, and all are stamped into the work order at site to make sure that everything is documented, even down to the point, if you bring up your iPad, your iPhone, your Android phone, whatever, you can get the customer with a little signature on the screen saying, yes, we can see that the product is back in operational. We tick the box, job is complete, asset is back in operation, and the SLA meter stops ticking. And this is important, again, back to the point we have made a commitment to the customer that 12 hours after you report a service incident, we would like to have the product back in operations. This is our proof. And again, this is excellent in the dialogue between the customer and the user of the the use of the asset in place. We want to drive, of course, the first-time fix rate. We want to make sure that whatever the technician do when he or she is on site is fully utilizing their time. Any kind of information, they don't have to call back home and get information. They can look up configuration information of the asset. So again, trying to improve the efficiency of the field is everything for us when we talk about complex assets. This is where we are and what we do for a living. So again, we go back to the point that the service technician has actually executed his, I'm going to call it his daily job, his daily job, making sure that we close the service request. There are certain, I'm going to call it back office activities that needs to happen because we have cleared the work order. We have reported back to the customer that the operation is completed, successful, and the SLA meter is not running anymore. Again, we want to drive down the cost of doing service and increase the opportunity for you as a service organization to, let's say, to get the revenue from it. And of course, we want to avoid, we went through the checklist, we validated the inspection of the asset. So any kind of compliance incidents, we know that we were on site when we did the given thing. And all these things are, of course, gathered in the back end of the system. So again, we try and get a lot of information collected. And what we have seen is quite important, that there's a lot of lessons hidden in the field service. The important element is that, let's say we have a product that just released to the market. We know the preventive maintenance plan, but it could be interesting 6 or 12 months down the line, once we started to service the organizations. What are the top 5 most normal break-fix issues, and how do we solve that? Can we improve the product that we deliver or that we service? What is the post preventive maintenance outcome? How, if we have scheduled a 6-monthly preventive maintenance visit, but we see a break-fix on month 5, maybe we need to shorten that time span. Maybe we can extend it because the system is still running at 99% capabilities. We need to learn more about the product in place. And the only one who actually can tell you that is the field technician, because they're on site, they're there with the customer, and the feedback that we get from them, of course, combined with the IoT information that we can get from the machine that we have installed, it's valuable information that we can help drive, let's say, the value of both not only utilization, but doing service. We have built the system with, let's say, simplicity at hand. We don't believe in the idea that you need 200 different areas to type in information. We built wizards based on what's called a service flow of flows in Salesforce. We try to make sure that the wizard goes down the line of saying, question number 1, is the system overheating? Yes, no. If no, then we have another question for you. We try to break wizards down to outcomes. Because at the end of the day, the sooner we can reach to a point where we actually can solve the issue and bring the product back in line, that's the time that the customer is happy for you. Time to resolution, drive it down. Cost of supporting the asset as well. And the reason why you would go with a product like ServiceMax is, of course, that it's a known environment. It's based on Salesforce. It's actually able for you to do a lot of configuration yourself in the system. It is not a development environment. It's a place where you configure your actions. So I want to round up with a little funny picture and saying that one of the important elements is exactly, we want to make sure that the people who represent you in the front line are seen as heroes. They have a cape, they wear spectacles as well, they wear a hat, but they are the one making sure that your business outcome is met and that the products, the assets that are operational is exactly efficient. So make sure that you have your field technicians armed with the best tool that you have in place. You can read a lot more about our ideas in the blog that we have, so you can see our opinion on this. And we are strongly opinionated, that's for sure. So I'm aware of time. I would say, why do you go with an organization like ServiceMax? Well, number 1, we are born in the cloud. You don't have anything on site. You don't have to maintain anything. We have done this for many years. We are considered the best of breed solution. And I hope that's why we also became a part of the bigger family in PTC. And hopefully I'm going to work with some of you in the organization over time. We are focused on the mobile suite as well as the application in itself. It's very important for us to drive forward the understanding of the mobile assets. And we have more than these. I showed you the sync, the communication channel. I showed you the ServiceMax Go, the mobile client for the technician. I did not show you Engage, which is actually an application you can give to your customers where they can do self-service, where they can request activities and so on. But notice that our focus is exactly on the asset-centric product companies. We are not here to help you schedule another call that day. We are here to make sure that a complex asset is operational. The customers who have invested thousands, hundreds of thousands, or millions in having your products on site can get operational and value out of this, so we can make sure that the product has an uptime as close to possible to your maximum. And the idea is exactly to help you with actually implementing this. You don't need to be a Salesforce customer. We help you with that. You don't need to have a specific ERP system. We help you with implementing these for the right offering. So, knowing time and everything else, I just want to show and end up with this slide and saying a little bit about the in the area where we live. We are the asset system of record, call it MDM solution, master data management, but we would like to be a part of this, let's say, life journey of the asset, depending on where it starts, either as the birth of the asset to actually to the point of the grave of the asset, or actually even post the grave where we refurbish the asset and resell it. But that's a different story for a different day. So I'm aware of time. I will just stop by giving my contact details and open up the board very quickly if there's anyone who has questions. I'm here all day if anyone wants to talk to us.
Thanks a lot, Dion, for sharing all your interesting insights here. So as you said, I mean, let's open up for any questions. And I can see that we had already one question in the chat. So the question was actually, I mean, is it supplier view or asset owner user view in the installed base management, or is it both actually?
Well, I would say everybody, well, it's like every type of data that we work with. We think that the asset owner needs to know what's going on with the product that we service. That is, of course, they are the ones we have a contract with. But I think it's important that we also should feed back the information to the product team, whether it's internal, external, that we see something in the field that could be improved. As I mentioned before, the top 5 reasons for break and fix on the product. Break and fix is an unscheduled activity because it broke. We need to fix it. And as such, if we can feed that information and do that as a preventive action going forward, we can avoid break fix. Break fix is costly. Break fix takes away your customer satisfaction, your NPS. So I think both people should have that kind of, or both, let's say, organizations should have that information. Excellent question.
Thank you. We had another question also. I mean, how do ServiceMax start the engagement with a potential new product?
Well, one of the actions that we do when we talk about having a prospect that contacts us or a company who contacts us, we look into, of course, the first thing is discovery call. We want to learn more about you. We would like to learn more about how you do your business. We'd like to learn more about your flow of data or paper that you would like to limit. We do what we call ride along, where we actually try and go on site to you if possible. I've been invited to windmills, and hanging off of windmill is not exactly my type of business, so I don't want to go on that type of ride along, but I would like to learn more about what you do. And with that knowledge, we actually go forward and help build the solution. We also use something called the maturity index from us. We have a field service maturity questionnaire, and I think we can link in that post this session. We can link to that in the publication of this video. So you actually can take it yourself. This is a kind of a questionnaire that gives you 21 parameters or 20 plus parameters, I'm going to say, of where you are from your maturity index. Where could you improve? And we are not saying that you could be better at, but we are saying based on the market research that we have done, we think the baseline is like this, but you have specified so and so much. Maybe we can help you address that issue. We all need to think about the fact that there's always room for improvement. Even this presentation could be improved. Everything can be improved, and the only thing we can improve by is by knowing what went wrong. And that's exactly the point of these surveys that we have. But I hope we can try and link to them in the publication of this session.
Right, thanks. I think we have one last question actually, and that is, I mean, what is a typical setup for a customer and prospect for ServiceMax?
So the typical setup, well, we normally, as I mentioned from the beginning, we talked about the idea of being asset-centric. Again, the focus is to make sure things like uptime, service level agreement. We talk about mid to high complex assets. We focus on something that has a lifetime beyond the implementation. As I normally joke, we say it in a joke, but there definitely need for service on coffee machines in offices, but we are not for that level of engagement. We are there to make sure that the asset is operational, back in production. We want to make sure that production and SLA is the first focus, rather than being able to squeeze in another visit the same day. So again, take it with the right, I'm going to put pinch of salt. If you have complex assets, multiple breakdown of the asset, as I mentioned before, a machine, a generator, a battery, a fan, etc., all these kind of elements, that's where we can make a difference.
Thanks a lot, Dion. And time is unfortunately running out, so many thanks everyone for joining this session here, and of course, I mean, a special thanks to you, Dion. So with that, I wish you a fantastic weekend and hope to see you also next week. And then we have a session regarding weaving the digital thread through human-centric assembly line validation by ESI Group. And also, I mean, as you can see on the slide here, I mean, we have the live works coming up mid of May timeframe with customers and partners. So hope to see some of you there as well. It's going to be a big number of people, of course, coming over there, and we will be a lot of people from PTC there as well to meet with you. So hope to see you there. So have a nice weekend, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.